Hi, I'm Sully, and I'm trying something different for this video. I decided to delve into the art of animation, documenting my learning process along the way. My approach involves dedicating 30 minutes each day for a week to different stages. First starting with traditional drawing, transitioning to digital art, and then attempting to learn the animation principles, and finally crafting my very first original animation. So you'll see me drawing completely from references here. I'll leave links to the references that I use down below, but basically I went to Pinterest, searched for cartoon drawing practice, and pinned things that I thought would be useful in my future animation, but also didn't look too difficult to draw. I should say this by no means is perfectly recorded, and I apologize for that. I'm still learning how to create a video like this, but the upcoming videos shouldn't be as big of a problem because they will all be digitally recorded. So it'll be a lot less flickery and more consistent from day to day. So a slight flashing lights warning. Alright, so you'll see me trying kind of different strategies here throughout the week. This first day, I used my eraser a lot. I had very unconfident lines. I really just didn't really know what I was doing. I don't really come from a drawing background. I know how to draw, I guess, but I'm not very confident with my lines, you can see. And I've never really tried the cartoon art style. You'll notice here that I actually forgot the third diagram that you're supposed to draw. And this is supposed to show the progress that you start with a hand. Like you start with the mitten with the circle, and then you add the thumb, and then you kind of draw in the details for the hand. But I wasn't very good at this process. And this is day 2 now, where we're drawing more hands in the same reference photo. And you'll notice there that I really didn't like that first drawing. It gets better as it goes, which I'm happy about, but it really didn't start in a great place. That first hand I just hate. But you'll notice here that I'm trying a different strategy. I boxed it out into a specific area because I noticed I was not really keeping a consistent shape. And then I roughly outline the shape, and then I draw the details in later, which I think really helped. It's not exactly what the first day mentioned doing. It's not the same process, but it's something that seemed to work for me. So the first day I did hands, and the reason I did that is because hands seem to be very unique to the cartoon style, but they're also really helpful in animation. Like they're in a lot of animations, and so I figured I might need to know how to draw them in my animation. So here's day 3, and on day 3, the power went out while I was recording this video halfway through, and so you'll notice I'm not starting from the beginning. That's because the file got corrupted, so this is unfortunately all I could salvage, and it's mostly just me trying to fix this mouth, pretty much. I spent a lot of time on this, for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why. I still don't really like the way that mouth looks. So on day 3, I'm doing dialogue, and this is basically just to show the enunciation of words as the character is talking. I don't know why I thought this would be necessary, because I'm almost certainly not going to do this in my animation, but it was fun to learn and draw. To make just a character talk in an animation is quite a bit of work. So now on to day 4, and I started trying to draw faces, and I really didn't like the outcome. I don't know if I was quite ready for it yet. At least the faces that I picked seemed a little bit too complicated in hindsight, but I really struggled with scaling and proportions. The head shape was really difficult for me to get down. You'll notice that none of the faces are the same size, and pretty much every time I struggled with a few parts of the process. But for this last drawing, I tried drawing the face first instead of the head, which I think really worked out because I think I was able to get the details that I wanted in the face and that fit in the head. Unfortunately though, when I drew the head, it just looked so not right. It just looked really bad for some reason, but that was the best I could do. So now for day 5, I did some body types, and I actually am quite happy with the way these drawings turned out. It seemed a lot more natural to make. I wasn't erasing as much, I feel like. I felt a little bit more confident this day. And I think the drawings were a little bit easier to draw, but I think I just was learning. I was doing it. But you'll notice here on these last two, I try to sketch out a rough drawing of the shape before I go back into the details. And I think that really helped and worked for me. Like this last one, I do these little ellipses, which really helped to nail down the proportion and the tapering of the body. And so I think I learned a lot. And then I went back and forgot about some sleeves. So I did those real quick. And so for day 6, I tried faces again, except this time I did a little bit easier faces. The reference photos were a little easier, and I tried a little bit of a different tactic, the 2 lines, which I think was really helpful, because I think the proportions on this were a lot easier to nail than the first reference photos that I was picking from. So I decided to draw like 5 or 6 of the same faces. I didn't draw any of all of the reference photo, but for this one I draw quite a few of them. I think it really comes down to these faces not being really that complicated to make, so I'm able to iterate on them pretty fast. But I also am still honing the face as I go. Like you'll notice the first face, I really don't like that one. I don't think I did well on that one at all. But the second one, I actually added a little bit of embellishment that I don't even think was in the first one on the eyes, which makes it really look like he's closing his eyes. And I really like how that worked out. And then on the third one, I think the head shape is a lot more accurate. And I'm really nailing the eye shape down, where the left eye is bigger than the right eye to show depth. On this 5th one, you'll notice that I don't really have a height reference anymore from the other drawings. And so I basically roughly sketch out the shape and then I figure out the proportions from there. Instead of just like putting too much effort into actually drawing it, I just do something rough just to get the shape down. And that really worked for me. It does kind of look like he has one baby tooth, which it kind of looks like that in the reference photo, but I feel like I could have done better there, but. Alright, so on to day 7, and today I decided to draw characters because for some reason I thought I was confident enough to do this, and it ended horribly, so I'm just going to quickly brush past this monstrosity that I drew with a broken leg. I was trying to make it so he's like tapping his foot, and I did this completely without reference because, I don't know, I was feeling up to it and I very much regret it. I then decided, hey, why don't we take a face that we've drawn before and then combine it with a body that we've drawn before. And I quickly throw that idea out the door. Instead, I decide again to draw completely from reference because I don't know what I'm doing. For some reason, I really struggled to draw this head, and I think it's because I kind of threw all of my tactics out the door. I didn't roughly shape it out, I didn't draw a border, and so eventually I realized this is not proportionally anywhere near what it needs to be, and so I completely erase it, start from scratch again. This time I'm actually drawing a border, I'm drawing a rough outline sketch, and that really helped, and I still struggle a little bit with the head here, but I decided, let's just get some features in, and then we'll kind of draw in the details later to make it look better. I'm finally down to the body past the head, and then I realize, oh no, there's like no belly on this thing, which is a huge part of the character, so I kind of erase half the arm, and I decide, okay, I need to get this belly down, so I get the belly down, and then I add the arms afterward, which didn't take too much effort or time, since I had already kind of sketched the rough outlines. And then here I go to the feet or the legs, and it's not perfect, but I decide, you know what, whatever, I'm good with it. Add some shading this time, which I'm not great at shading, as you can tell, but it sort of works out, I guess. Do a little bit more shading, and I think it turned out pretty well, actually. Better than the first one for sure, but also a little bit better than I was expecting at the end. It took some struggling for sure. Then I go on to another character, and I promise you this is not from Among Us. I know it looks like it, but it's not. Just wait for it. And the arms aren't exactly correct, but at this point I've been drawing for longer than I usually do, so I'm kind of just like, I'm just gonna do it. And I think that actually ends up being pretty successful. Like, yeah, it's not perfect. None of my drawings have been anywhere near perfect. But this one, I kind of just went with the flow, kind of just drew in the outlines harder, and it just kind of ended up looking alright. So, anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for week 2 where I do digital drawing.